In this tutorial, we'll take a look at concatenate as well as using the ampersand to put information together, as well as splitting columns apart into various text features. So here we have two lists. We have first name column and a last name column, but we want those put together. So let me create a list that says full name. And because it's a formula, I'm going to start with equal, and I'm going to put in concat or concatenate. Concat is going to be, I believe, the newer version of concatenate. Concatenate will be deprecated soon, and so we're going to use concat. And then what's the text one? So I'm going to say atom bomb. I'll click in the first column. And this is what people typically do. The only problem is it bumps them right together. It doesn't put a space in between it. So what we need to do is in the formula, in between those two cell references, we're going to put quote, space, quote, and then a comma. So it's going to say concatenate or squish together whatever's in cell A2, put a space then, and then put in cell B2. And that'll give us the name with a space in between correctly. We can also do it a different way. I consider it a much easier way. So instead of using concat or concatenate, I usually just use the ampersand. So I click here on the first cell reference and I'll do quote, space, quote, and the last one, and then hit enter, and it comes up with the same result. If I wanted to do last and then first on the name, then I could do equals last name and using the ampersand, quote. Now I want to do a comma and a space, ampersand, and then whatever the first name happens to be. So this is going to give me bomb, comma, atom. Now, when I have an example such as this, usually what I want to do, instead of typing it for each time, I can just click on that cell that has the formula in it, and then click and drag down to autocomplete the rest of those, just applying that formula going across. One thing, though, you want to be careful of is that if I needed to copy this, maybe I was going to copy and paste this into Word or another spreadsheet or another worksheet. Remember, this isn't text here. This row, or excuse me, this column is actually a list of formulas. So, it doesn't typically paste exactly like we want. So I'm going to click on that column and I'm going to copy it. So I'll do Control C. And let's say I want to paste it right here. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to paste options and I want to go to values. Or I could come up to the paste up in my ribbon, click on the little down arrow and come over to where I see values. And then when I paste that, I can verify its values by clicking on the cell and I'll see like here albino as opposed to equals A4 and quote space quote and B4. So this is ready for me to copy and paste and use as needed, but I lose the formula. So this may be where typically what I do is I will hide this field so it's still available if I need to use that field or I need to change it in any way, but it's not visible. All right, let's say, let me get rid of these three columns. Let's say that all we have, and get rid of those two, is this information right here, and we really need it broken down. Maybe when I did my form to collect information from folks, I asked them their name, And it would have been better if I said first name, had them submit it, and last name in a different field. I didn't think to do that, so now I've got all these names I need to split apart in case I do mail merge and I want to say, Dear Al, blah, 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 So what I'm going to do is select this information, or I could select the field. And then I want to go to I want to go to text to columns, and it will take that column and say, okay, is it delimited or is it fixed width? A fixed width would be an example where you have student IDs or social security numbers, telephone numbers. There's an exact number of digits or letters that are on each cell. These are actually delimited. Means we have something in between the words that we're wanting to split. We don't want to do a tab, we want to do a space, and that's going to be what splits it. And I'll click next. Now, here's where folks sometimes cause a problem and they don't realize it. So right here, I have my text that I've highlighted, and I'm going to say, okay, finish. And notice what it does. It replaces my text and overwrites it. So if you wanted to retain that information, I highly recommend taking a look, see how many columns will that take to expand it out, and insert that number of columns and copy and paste in a new column so you don't override it. Or sometimes what I'll do is I'll just take that column, paste it in a new worksheet, expand it out, and then take what I need. Now, the nice thing about doing it like this is that these are not formulas. These are actual text, so you don't have to worry about copying and pasting values as if we were using formulas to split it apart. All right, so that's a little bit about using concat or concatenate, using the ampersand instead to do the same thing, or using the text to columns to split text up into various columns to accommodate that information.